I manifest or suggest na we
Mr.
include
Guna,
that.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Nung pinag-aaralan natin yung Department of OFW, dapat may OLRC. Pinatunayan doon ng NLRC yung kanilang small claims. Mabilis, marami, at kaya po ito. So ipapasok natin siya under an NLRC, we will create a special division.
As suggested by Ms. Lina.
Mabilis po sila. So I think
Small claims court.
they are, well, it's a small claim, it's NLRC, what's it? Basically, it's a division. Yeah, di ba meron the small claims? There's a small claims lane there and we will put you there.
So dapat ma-expedite talaga, mabilis
We will
yun.
create a new division in the NLRC, specifically.
Mabanggit ko lang, sir, yung pong mga scriptwriters, kasi marami freelance from home working from home. Yan ang pinaka-abused actually. So maraming mga scriptwriters, hanggang ngayon 50,000 pa lang yung parang base, 10 years ago 50,000 na 50,000 pa rin ngayon. Yun.
So why are they subject to abuse? Wala ko ba silang talaga, they don't secure a contract from their
Usually po,
Hindi po practice ang contract talaga po because talagang hindi po talaga nagpakontrata ang lahat.
so they are not protected talaga.
Yes, kaya ito pong mandatory.
Pagkabayad ka ng kontrata, wala kang may kliyente. Hindi naman. Kung magaling ka talaga, they will agree to a contract, di ba?
Posible po na hindi ka nila kunin pag nagpakontrata ka because
Well, what's the problem with having a contract? Kasi may intention talaga sila hindi ka bayaran. Kung yung tao nila, yun ang kontrata, means there is an intent maybe that he will not or she will not pay, di ba?
so that they can afford to not pay if they don't want to.
Yeah, but that's also a warning also to the freelancer that they should not agree. They should always request for a contract.
This will compare them.
Just to protect them. Like, tama nga yung sabi ni Congressman Salceda, to the something like an NLRC will create a small claims court. But that would require that these people should have a contract because walang pagbabasihan eh. It's,
Yeah.
I don't know, kung yung text message pa, it's not visible. Kung text yan, di ba? O, matantahan kita, 3,000 sa araw, di ba? O, I don't know, that's, yes, Ms. Lina.
Pero, Chair, it's one thing pa nga po to text pero kung halimbawa po dumating ka doon or on-call ka, pwede ka po nilang hindi bayaran even if they've already contracted you for that day. Their gauge or yung kanilang way para bayaran ka is kung nag-sign ka ng attendance sheet nila. So kung wala ka po doon or halimbawang buong araw kakailanganin ko po sa hapon at hindi ka po dumating doon, hindi ka pa na po nila babayaran. Ganun po siguro yung reason kung bakit hindi po nagkokontrata ang lahat para hindi po nagkokontrata ang mga companies because pwede they can afford to not pay if they're not bound to pay these workers or workers.
No, because yun ang kalakaran sa industry niya, di ba? So this is something that we have to change.
Madam,
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Mr.
Your Honor.
Chair, yung mga, how do we consider ba yung mga, lahat ba sila tawag sa kanila talent?
Actually, ma'am, kailangan din po nating i-define ngayon kung anong ibig po sabihin ng talent at worker dahil based on the Supreme Court ruling with J. Sonza, pag sinabi pong talent, pangalan ka, J. Sonza, and then you have control over the work that you're being contracted. Parang independent contractor ka na. But it's always being misused and abused because even the extras, even the production staff, even the cinematographers and the videographers are all considered talents as well. So that's already creating a misconception and an understanding sa mga tao na, talent ako because may control, pero wala po talaga silang control.
So, paano nyo ma-define yung talent? So, hindi sila lahat. Yung sinasabi natin talent based dun sa Supreme Court decision. Ay, yung mga malalaking may pangalan lang. And another question, Mr. Chair, how would we define here the right compensation? Kaya katulad ni Ms. Manu kanina, sabi niya, 10 years ago na, 50,000 pa rin yung script writing. So, paano natin ma-consider yung right compensation for right talent or skills?
Mr. Chair, if I could just respond to Congresswoman Castro. I don't think that's included in the parameters for the bill, the proposed measure. Standardizing or prescribing like minimum pay for a particular industry. Because like I said, there are a lot of peculiarities that are specific to each industry, to animation workers, to artists, to musicians, as in libo-libo po. So I don't think that's something that we should be including in the discussion. Maybe a separate policy discussion for that. But rather what we are saying through these measures is that we are requiring that there be a contract between the employer and the freelancer who is providing services. And siguro, Mr. Chair, I think what we also have to define is, ano ba yung freelancer? Clear naman po dun sa apat na proposed bill na freelancer, diba, is any person or entity who either is registered with a SEC, diba, or is as a sole proprietor, or with the DTI, or self-employed and registered with the BIR that is hired or retained as an independent contractor by a hiring party to provide services in exchange for compensation. So yun po yung definition ng freelancer. So baka pwedeng klaruhin din natin na kung na hindi po, wala pong kinalaman doon yung kontrata sa pag-define ng freelancer. Yung pagkakaroon ng kontrata is a best practice that is being done by some employers para masiguro na yung kanilang mga freelancers ay protektado. So, hindi po na-define yung freelancer sa pagkakaroon ng kontrata. Yun po ay best practice ngayon. Ang gusto natin ay mas standardize yung best practice na yun sa lahat. So, klaruhin lang po natin yan.
Mr. Chair, clear yun, hindi natin pinag-usapan ang right compensation dito for as long as the two contracting parties agree doon sa terms and condition, compensation man yan, or terms of work, yun na yun. Basta may kontrata, okay.
May I request everyone that before we make any more comments and suggestions, let's hear some of the other resource person para mabilis yung ating proceeding. Can we now call on Miss Jenny Amora, Philippine Legitimate Stage Artist Group. You have the floor.
Hello.
Hello din po.
Chair, President, and Honorable Congressman. I'm representing Phil Stage. We're an association of theater producers. But I myself am also a freelancer. I do guesting work on TV. I act on stage. I direct for stage. I am a voice talent for radio commercials. What else do? I direct for events. Yes, I'm a true freelancer. In the theater industry, we at Phil Stage, we do try our best to do best practices, providing contracts for our for those we employ for the short term. Usually, an average of 3 months. I would like to speak as in particular as a voice talent as well. When I provide voiceovers for radio commercials or TV ads, we also go through an agency that mediates between the commercial brand and us talents as well. And we do sign like an attendance and an agreement that sometimes we have lockouts and all that. However, for example, I operate on trust with the agency who hires me that they will pay me. But I do have pending payments. Siguro may mga 3 years, hindi pa ako nababayaran for a certain ad na nag-air na. Matagal na. Pero, as practice po namin, accepted lang po namin. Pag-voice over, baka mga 1 taon, pag a little more, yeah. So, That's a personal.
What's the specified in your contract payment after
Actually, even what
you
we
complete your job that you're paid after what 3 months, 6 months?
it's not specified.
Hindi specified.
Yeah, and so it's a practice kasi that we all go through, and there's also an attitude of not wanting to rock the boat, kasi because now we have no, barely any of us are in union, and none of us want to be in union because people will just hire someone else, because they always say that there will be always people who will be willing to do the job. Yes, but in terms of as a producer, we have tried, I think, to provide some health insurance, but only for the duration of the play. So, for example, if you're rehearsing for 3 months, and then that's it. What else?
But as a producer, you don't practice the same manner of payment that you are also accompanying from as a talent.
Yeah, we provide
Kasi sabi mo nga,
contracts for-
as a voiceover talent, you get paid after 1 year, 2 years.
Tapos paano ko na lang, parang,
But you never ask
bayad
for
ko.
you never ask your employer to specify the payment terms.
No, that's
So,
not the practice.
Kumbaga, parang sinabi mo, payment able.
Yeah, yes.
Kung COD, cash on December.
Yes. I mean, I take responsibility also naman.
So, ito ba ang kalakaran talaga sa inyo? I mean, this is a standard industry practice that, for talent.
Yes, that was for the voiceover industry. It's different also if you're on camera. of course.
Narinig mo ba yung boses ni Congressman Mataturan?
Opo.
Talagang ano yan, voiceover
Yes.
talent yan. Ako manager. Anyway, thank you
Mr.
for your
Chair.
comments, Mr. Ms. Zamora. Yes, the Honorable Presidential.
So just to clarify what I said, I think Ms. Zamora is speaking in two capacities.
Yes, I am.
As a freelancer and as a producer who hires freelancers.
Yes.
So dun sa mga issues na nabanggit nyo kanina as a freelancer na something to do with your contract, diba? Yung mga proposed measure ba, does it already respond to that need?
Yes,
In that, I think there's a section across all 4 versions that stipulate what needs to be included in a written contract. The rate
yes.
of payment, the payment schedule, and all of that. So does that already respond?
Yes.
And then, siguro, just to also echo yung nabanggit kanina ni Ms. Zamora, that, there are employers or producers that really ascribe to best practices, but not all. So what we want is to standardize that the best practice does not become a best practice, rather a norm. Diba? A norm for everybody. It should be the least common, it should not be the GCF, greatest common factor, but it should be the LCD, least common denominator.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Senator is recognized.
Kapatid ka ni Odi? Why?
Hamora po ako, JA, pero we are distantly related po.
So,
GE po siya.
interesado kasi kung dalawang klase kasi ito yung bill. One that is protective and the other one is promotive. So yung nabanggit mo insurance, ano yung nature ng insurance?
For example, accident insurance, for example, if a show has a lot of choreography, lifts, dancers who will have to tumble, some contracts will provide a health insurance for the duration of the rehearsal period and show period.
So, sino nagbigay ng health insurance?
The production company.
Okay.
So, for example,
There's another one.
trumpets, or repertory Philippines.
You added another layer called agency.
Yes.
And I think dito sa lahat ng bills, we did not provide for the existence of an agency. So I think whoever will write this eventually should make sure that the agency will be as... So yung minimum protection, I think it arises from human dignity, not from best practice. The state has the right to protect the human dignity of everyone in any, especially during labor conditions. Whether an employer-employee relationship exists is simply the way we treat each other as people within a society. So the 10,000 is just, I think we just have to provide that it may be adjusted as certain, the provision of a small claims court. I don't know what else. I think some of the government agencies should be mandated to provide assistance to any registered freelancer in the DTI or in the BIR. There should be a BIR box which says it's a freelancer. I think, bakit ko yata magsusulat nito? So you might as well take note. And then that in the DTI, there should be already a certain, diba, kung magre-register ka, there should already be a specific box also that it is a freelancer, and therefore it ascribes, attributes certain rights to being registered as such. And therefore, I don't know whether SSS, GSI, SSS, or PAIB should provide optional capital build-up mechanisms for freelancers. They have MP2, which is very good for freelancers. Kasi yung MP2 earns 7%. Nothing in this whole country gives you better return with no risk than an MP2 with pag-ibig. I think it should be offered to be. Kasi it's beyond mere protection, it's about also promotion. So you have, the bill will seek to provide both. So it's a necessary first start. We cannot cover all situations, but we will definitely accept any proposal or what you think are punishable injustices that may arise from this interpersonal relationship. Bakit tanong ka na tanong? Ano ginawa sa'yo? Ano nga, mention ng mga injustices interpersonal relationship mo, Lisa? Baka nandito po yung krimen.
Dapat nagkakaroon si...
You're not yet full, Isa. So I'm just asking Lisa if there's something which you want to be, which you want to be punished. So those are punishable acts. Kasi ano lang kami, congressman na kami, di namin masyadong so you might wish during the, I'm sure in the Thank you very much,
I was
Mr.
hoping
Chair.
that the Honorable Sanceda would have attended the last meeting here we had on the safety and
Which one?
standards for the Healthcare bill. We would have been privileged to hear the
Monetary policy ba yun?
medyo, I don't know. Anyway, but we would like first to recognize the presence of Mr. Isaac Guerra.
I have to go. Wala na sa
We now go to Attorney
Toki, bahala ka na dyan.
Attorney Saura from the DOLE.
Good morning, Your Honors. The department support the intent of the bills and commend the well-researched context for this. In truth, the department, through the Institute of Labor Studies, has made preliminary studies on this already, on the gig economy. And we found out that there are different treatments of workers in the gig economy. Others may be self-employed, others are entrepreneurs, and yes, others may have be as a freelancers. Kanina po na-mention parate yung word na contract. And I will just in some way, may dilemma po kasi ako because I'm not a civilist. I'm a labor practitioner. Well, as a civilist kasi, there's a difference between the employment contract and a service contract. And in civil law, we always have the basic foundation on the freedom to contract. Meaning that as much as possible, binibigyan ng batas yung dalawang partido na to enter to a contract as long as may tatlong elemento, the consent, yung merong consideration, and the terms and conditions. So, ang pinapangalagaan lang ng department in this is that gusto lang sana the moral ascendancy between the contracts entered into. Siyempre, iba yung college graduate doon sa name-mention na mga videographers or yung sabihin natin even sa statistics kasi nasasabi ang majority sa atin did not reach even college, doon lang sa mga high school. So yung ganun na ano natin may need still a further typology ng workers natin on the gig economy. The research also found out na talagang predominant yung choice. So ano ang implication nun? When the research shows na may predominance ng choice, ng flexibility, yung worker, yung ganun po. An economist, si Ehrenberg po, said that pag may choice ang worker, nire-respeto dapat yung choice niya. So, yun. Kung ganun po kasi, but the limitation of the research was really, hindi niya tinignan yung institutional restraints. Ano naman po ibig sabihin ng institutional restraints? Katulad po ng nababanggit po natin, which is, ako nagugustuhan ko yung pag-run ng dialogue natin po today because we already been thinking out of the box and also yung mga points well taken, but actually pag mag-apply kasi yung civil law, we already have a small claims court with the Supreme Court. So yun lang po yung medyo may dilemma. So but ang consideration siguro, how is also DOLE addressing this? Sa totoo po ay we follow the fourfold test. Kahit na sabihin ng employment, the written one, na walang employer-employee relationship, pag may nag-question sa amin, of course we take note of the fourfold test. Alam po naman po natin yun. Then, ang attitude namin is always a purposive interpretation of the contract. When we say purposive, tama po yung kanina, tinitignan namin, yung role namin to protect the worker, especially if the worker yun nga po, may not have reached college, kaya yung ascendancy ng pag-enter into contract, kinukonsider po as a factual circumstance. So may mga indicia naman po din kaming pinafollow, like titignan namin if there is a dependency. Kung ito ba, parang, bakit ganon? Parang tagal naman ng contract to contract yung ganon. So yung certain na duration. Also democratic deficiency. Yung mga, for example, ay parang, bakit hindi siya nabibigyan ng freedom in a situation? Kumbaga, na-force siya doon sa, sabihin natin, terms and conditions. Yan. So, yung po yung mga ilang elemento na titignan namin, even if the written contract states that walang employer-employee relationship. So may mga sistema kami for anyone can approach the department naman po to ask questions, to seek legal advice. We have the PACO unit of the legal service. We have the single entry approach of the department. That's what I can say and share, Your Honors.
Mr. Chair, malis na.
Yes, the Honorable Salcedo is recognized.
So, ano yung, in simple language, ano yung sinasabi mo?
The department in...
Are you still cognizant of this as a labor situation?
Not yet, Your Honor.
No, I thought that you had a fourfold test,
Yes.
all sorts of things, diba? So, diba, pero we're just providing for a minimum. First, we are easy registration, no taxes. They're given BIR number, a P number, therefore, and therefore they're expense become tax shield for certain companies. So how does it take you? It's I don't know, hindi ko masasabi ko, from a labor spectrum, it's something lower than an endo. Okay lang sa inyo. Diba? Parang hindi ko ganun yung sinasabi dito. It's virtually closer to a commercial contract between two consenting adults. Parang sex, diba? So, joke lang. Ikaw kasi nakatingin ka na sa akin eh. So, I always have it in mind. Diba? Ganun ba yun?
Precisely, Your Honor. Regardless kung independent contractor siya, regardless naman po kung basta may issue on
I think when there's an agency, then it becomes a labor contract. Yun lang talaga kanina yung bigla nilabas ni Samora.
Yung sa ano po kasi Your Honor, when we accommodate clients, hindi na tama po yung na-raise naman na
Don't worry about the small claims court. We'll just provide an additional it need not be the courts in DOLE. It can be any small claim court under the Supreme Court, but the best placed court here is the NLRC. Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, could you just clarify from the DOLE representative? So do you have an issue with requiring contracts between parties? I think I might have picked up
yes,
on that earlier.
by experience, Your Honor, anyone can approach our PACO unit, even through SENA in the different regional offices. If there are issues like, for example, claims for non-payment of their contracts. So, as provided and already shared, we mediate and conciliate all clients that may have aggrieved in a contract, regardless if the finding is there's no employer-employee relationship. So, yun lang po. But the jurisdiction of the department emphasizes on when we take cognizance for our, should I say, labor courts to take cognizance of this. There's a employer-employee relationship. But yes, the bills proposes for the NLRC to take cognizance of the issues of the independent contractors.
So, Mr. Chair, in simple terms, DOLE will only process or prosecute cases where there's a clear employer-employee relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what you're saying right now is there's no clear employer-employee relationship between contracting parties and the freelancer. Tama?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a civil contract.
It's a civil contract.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Senator.
Precisely, saan mo ba ilalagay ito? Sa DTI? Sa BIR? Saan mo gusto ilagay ito? DSWD? Dahil itong mga to mga infantile, no, joke lang. So saan mo pa? We are making a determination that the job of DOLE is to increase the bargaining position of Filipino labor, whether in domestic markets or foreign markets. And therefore, this bill sits properly under your domain and your jurisdiction because that is your philosophy, that philosophically, that is your job, to increase the bargaining position of Filipino labor, whether here or abroad. And therefore, this, kumbaga sir, nilagay ba natin that this is under DOLE? That the principal agency for, so ikaw ang magiging principal. So sa tingin ko, you will have no problems with that, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor. Considering that also we regulate labor markets through our Bureau of Local Employment. That's why I'm commending the yung takbo ng discussion because we're already thinking remedies for the industry. Thank you, Your Honor.
So how can you help as far as DOLE is concerned? Kasi, you know, kung puro employer-employer relationship lang, di ba? Dapat, ikaw na nga nag-budget eh, di ba? Yung mga contracts should be optional kasi most of them, para sinasabi mo nga, medyo walang pinag-aralan. Medyo masakit ngayon, di ba? Pero there's a way that we can do something about it, that we can help them, you know, even, sabi mo, you're thinking out of the box, di ba? So, DOLE should, in your position, be able to help because they're also laborers, di ba? Workers din yan eh. Freelance laborers, freelance workers, di ba? So, how you can protect them, that's why you're here eh, di ba? You have to give us your suggestion and recommendation, di ba? You just cannot say, hindi, wala kasi employer relationship, di namin pwedeng pakialaman yan. That should not be your thinking. Your thinking should be, pinag-uusapan dito is a worthwhile bills to protect millions and millions of freelance workers and laborers. So dapat, magbigay kayo ng suggestion, recommendation from your department on how we can protect that. Tama po ba, Attorney Saore?
Your Honor, yes. Actually, we're studying already the typologies of the different
Hindi, kasi ang dami mong explanation eh, no? Eh, you make it in simple terms lang. Yung maintindihan mo ng lahat ng tao dito. Yun lang gusto namin marinig from your end. Are you in favor of these bills?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how can the DOLE be part of this bill? Yung po ang gusto namin marinig from your end.
Yes, Your Honor. As I said, the intent is well taken by the department.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could we request from the DOLE resource person a position paper? And could you also detail in said position paper your comments per provision on the matrix of the 4 bills that are being considered here? Because we'd also like to be illuminated as to what our bills are trying to achieve versus the constraints that you are held to by the laws that are currently in place that DOLE is required to implement. So we want to see the disparity so that we can also expand the scope of the said bill to also address what are the constraints of DOLE for not being able to respond. Diba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Your Honorable Deposit.
to DOLE. Pero hindi po ba na even if CB law recognizes the supremacy of contracts and freedom of choice, hindi po ba supremacy of contract is always superseded by public interest, such as the welfare of millions of our freelancers? Also, paano ho yung freedom of choice? If as our resource person says, mag-imbalance po doon sa negotiation table in favor of employers. Given that, as its core, it is a question of labor. Why can't we extend DOLE jurisdiction to them? Isn't jurisdiction a matter of law?
Your Honor, as I shared a while ago, anyone that may have should I say, a complaint on a contract, especially whether preliminarily it's not determined if it's an employment contract or a service contract. The department has always been, its doors is always open for them. So through mediation and conciliation, when we say mediation and conciliation, the process is we notify the employer complained of, and then allow them to come into the to our SENA to have a mediation conciliation. But the limitation there is the mediation conciliation is voluntary. So then afterwards, our SENA officers can give their advice, assuming that the employer complained of failed to appear. Our SENA officers always give advice to the complainant party. Also, if the employer appears on the mediation conciliation, then there's a better outcome. Often the complaint is arranged by mutual agreement of the parties. So the department has always been open to all complainants.
Well, thank you, thank you. May we now proceed with Ms. Jenny Bonto from the Artist Welfare Project. Ms. Bonto,
Hello?
nasa po ba kayo?
Ito po ako, Chair.
Ay, okay.
How are you? Thank you so much to everybody. Ano lang ako dun sa college na sinabi niya, parang, kailangan ka bang maging ka? Magtatanong na lang ako mamaya.
Ano ulit yung sinabi niya?
Yung college, meron si Sir sinabi kanina about
So you're free to say what you want to say.
college.
Huwag mo itago.
Oo nga.
Nagalit ka ba sa kanya?
Hindi naman, ngayon ako nag-inis. Pero po, baka makalimutan mo yung nasa checklist ko. Number 1 po yung contract, talagang 2 to tango. Sa artist welfare, lagi namin sinasabi sa kanila na kailangan may kontrata kahit sa palito na sa likod ng ng sigarilyo. Isulat ninyo. Kasi at the end of the day, pag nagka-problema, dito sa Pilipinas, kailangan something written. Siguro sa Germany, handshake, pero dito sa Pilipinas, something written. Yung ibang mga artist kasi, natatakot sa mga nakasulat. Pero kailangan talaga namin mag-campaign on it. Sa taxes po, gusto naman namin magbayad ng tax. Nahihirapan lang kami pag masyado ng mataas. At saka, yung issue ng tax, sana po yung pagbabayad kami ng tax, pero bumalik sa amin in terms of, for example, incentives ng mga expenses namin sa paggawa ng obra. For example, yung ballet shoes ang mahal-mahal, yung paints for the painter ang mahal-mahal. Merong mga galing situations like yung venue rental ang mahal-mahal. Isang request po namin na sana pag meron kami sigurong ID na we are a professional artist, pag dinala namin sa National Bookstore, mabigyan kami ng parang PWD na 10% discount. Hindi ko alam kung pwede yun o hindi. Yung minsan kakaisip ng problema, if you root it, yung recognizing the industry, that kakanta ka lang naman eh, kukontrata pa tayo, sasayaw ka lang naman eh. Yung lang, kaluluwa yung nilalagay mo pag kumanta ka na eh, tas nilalang. Parang isang mall, sabi, mag-spoken word ka na habang kumakain yung audience, mag-spoken word ka, tapos papakainin ka lang ka rin naman eh. So, yun yung bayad namin sa'yo. So, wala nang kailangang kontrata doon. It's dahil lang, but it is the industry. We are, sabi nga ni attorney, we are micro-entrepreneurs using ang capital namin ay aming kaluluwa. So, paano kaya yung ilalagay sa isang kontrata? Tapos,
Miss Bonto,
yes.
you made mention na meron kang parang takot ka magbayad sa income tax sa BIR.
Pinupush po namin yung mga artist na magkumuha ng resibo at magbayad sa BIR dahil
Are you aware of the Babylon?
hindi po eh.
Di barangay, micro. Kasi if you register with your barangay sa Babylon na tawag natin, and you're a single proprietor and your patent capital is less than 3 million, you are exempted from paying taxes. Alam niyo po ba yan?
Hindi ba po?
You should look into that para hindi na po kayo natatakot. Magparehistro po kayo at pag nag-reach sa sarili barangay andun sa Pangilo, then pag-presenta niyo po yun, meron kayong clearance na ito lang po ang aking paid-up capital, you're accepted from paying taxes.
Salamat po.
Para hindi ka na natatakot sa BIR and you will be legitimate.
Right now po, ang advice po sa amin ng mga accountant is meron pong under the BIR, may professional and others. Tapos magbibigyan ka ng resibo without DTI, without mayor's permit, na may resibo na doon yung pangalan mo. So far yun yung may resibo ka na, pero pag may resibo ka na, kailangan magbayad ka ng tax. So makakatulong po yung...
No, as an artist talaga, you should register with the BIR and your official receipt would state your name as an artist or as a professional. Same as si Senator Manny Pacquiao. Meron siya sarili niya OR, ang naging Manny Pacquiao. professional boxer siya. So pag meron siyang kailangan, meron siyang natanggap ng bayad, yan ang binibigay niya ng official receipt. Kasi siyempre, hinihingi din ng kliyente yun.
Yes.
Dahil dinilatak niya as expenses.
Yes.
So yun ang masasabi ko sa inyo. Pero ang gusto ko marinig sa inyo, ano po ba pananaw nito sa mga house bill na to?
Support
That
ka.
you're representing the Artist Welfare Project Incorporated.
Yes po.
Ano po ba ang masasabi na tungkol dito?
We support this bill, all the things inside it, and we have been working for the past three congressional life ever since the world began, and we are here to work together with each other po. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat din po. We now proceed to Mr. I. Segura. Mr. Segura, do you have any comments regarding these three bills?
Excuse me po. Magandang hapon umaga po sa inyo, chairperson, and of course, lahat po ng kagalang-galang na representatives and fellow resource speakers. I am for this because I have been a freelancer my whole life ever since I was 3. And isa po ako doon sa sinasabi natin na multi-hyphenated people. Ako po isang